Connect Radio playing Dermot Kennedy with Kiss Me. And good morning and welcome. And I wonder if I can interest you in a little walk down historical lane. Do you see what we did there, Chris? Poetry there.
That's beautiful.
Every Monday on the show, I'll be honest with you, I'm just trying to fill time because I'm in a bit of a rush this morning and I hadn't got your music ready, but I think I've got it ready now. There we go. So, can I interest you in a walk down historical lane with our friend and colleague, Chris Sinkingson, who joins us from Moorlands College right now, in fact. He's there. He is. And every Monday on the show, we go through those historical items which have been knocking around. And Chris explains what they could be, but the fun for most people is when I have to try and describe it over the radio. So, Chris, good morning and welcome.
Good morning, Gareth. Great to be back with you again.
Now, I was going to blame you for the hiss on the line, but then I realised it was actually me. Apparently, I was sending too much data down the line, and it was causing a hiss. Who knew? So, for those who don't know, Chris, can you tell us a little bit about Moorlands College, what you do, and I guess why you do it?
Well, Moorlands College is at the heart of it all about equipping men and women passionate about Jesus to be able to impact the church and the world. And so, we're involved in ministry training. We have students from all sorts of backgrounds, all sorts of parts of the life journey and life story. And they come here sometimes just for an evening class or a day event. But at the heart of it is a 3-year BA program and then an MA master's course to get intense training and study in theology and Bible. And our purpose, the reason why I'm here, Gareth, is because I want to see people trained up so that they can not just get head knowledge and know a few facts, but that their hearts can be transformed so they can be of use in terms of the kingdom of God. Now, all of us are of use to the kingdom of God, but there's ways we can improve our improve our skills. And so that's what we're here to do at Moorlands. I've been here for, part-time. I go back nearly 15 years, actually, my involvement in the college. And so over that time, I tell you, Gareth, the stories I could tell a graduate, some of them hopefully listening on Connect this morning, but the graduate stories of where they've gone on into all sorts of parts of the world, and secular jobs as well as more traditional church routes, youth work, pastoring and so on. And it's just so exciting, Gareth, to be involved in a job where I get out of bed in the morning knowing that I'm going to be involved in helping to transform lives and train men and women up who can be this kind of blessing in the kingdom.
And if you want to find out more about the courses, then you can go to moorlands.ac.uk and you can book onto the open day. You can view the prospectus as well. That's up there. And you can, of course, apply for a course all up there. So, Chris, we love to find out about these historical items. Last week, your wife made a not made a historical item. She was basically making a prop that represented historical items for us to learn about. There we go. So what have you got for us this week?
Okay, and again this week, now this one my wife didn't make, but this is a replica version of something you will see in the British Museum, but actually there are 20 of these that have been found, beautiful, or they're in various museums now around the world, but a fine one in the British Museum. So I'll show it to you. And Gareth, if your description helps us identify it, that's going to be really helpful. But here it is, blocking my face. Very beautiful.
So it's almost like a tea towel. It looks like, so the shape of it, I don't even know what you would call that. So it's like two squares with a smaller square in the middle, joining the two squares together. One is bigger than the other, and the patterns on it, some of them look like eyes, some of them look almost... This is very hard to describe on the radio. Help us out, Chris.
You're describing it very well, though, actually. I mean, this is... I won't tell you what it is till after we've heard the song, but this is something which has got a number of squares. And Gareth, if I just pointed to one of them, what does that look like to you?
That looks like circles with smaller circles inside it. So maybe something watching, it's sort of very, very eyeball-esque.
Does it also remind you of a dice?
It does remind me of a dice. I'm
I
glad
thought
you
you were
asked,
going to
Chris.
say that.
Yes, it does remind me of a dice.
And now I'm giving you that little clue. This is what I want to think about. This, okay, is what are we talking about? 4,500 years old. I mean, not this is a replica, but 4,500 years old. Over 20 of these have been found, sometimes made from clay or terracotta, sometimes carved in stone, sometimes very beautiful, like this one. One was found in the tomb of Tutankhamun, the boy pharaoh. But a very, very significant early find, one of these, most beautiful of all, in the British Museum, came from a town called Ur. Now that's really interesting. It's 4,500 years old, and it comes from a town called Ur. And some of your listeners might remember that name, Ur. It's a funny name for a town. Sounds like they couldn't think of what to call it, so they called it Ur. But it's actually the hometown of a very important Bible character. His name is Abraham. And Abraham, or Abram, came from the town where this was found over 4,000 years ago. And I'll tell you what it is, but I reckon listeners might be able to guess from some of the clues we've been giving out already.
One of the big clues, I think, is the fact that you held up a book, and I think I read what the book was, so that could have been a giveaway.
That was a clue for you, Gareth, not for the listeners.
So, we will move on. I know what it is, but until you watch the video back, all you're having here is audio, so you will not be able to, well, maybe you will be able to guess actually what it is. And we'd love to hear from you, actually, if from my rather bad description, if you can tell us what this is that Chris is holding up. You can get in touch with us on the number. This is the WhatsApp number, by the way. It's really easy. 0161 511 9555. 0161 511 9555. That's the WhatsApp number. You get in touch with us, and I'll be acting as though I don't know what this is next. Andy Burrows. He'll always be known as the drummer from Razorlight, by the way. And that is Keep On Moving. It is Connect Radio. And welcome along to The Breakfast Show. We're here with our friend and colleague, Chris Sinkingson from Moorlands College.
Hi.
And I don't think, well, let me just check here. From my rather bad, no. So we've had...
What you got?
Here. Is Chris holding up a Iram or Theremin? A Theremin?
Oh, that's a great suggestion. That is a really good suggestion. I'm not, but that is a really good one.
Apparently, a dice-like object that priests used to use.
Yeah, that is a great suggestion, but it's not correct.
We've also had a message in from Tony who said, I think Chris is holding up an antique tea towel.
Well, no.
Over to you, Chris.
Hey, look, what I'm holding up, the clue was like pointing to a square that looked like a dice. This is a board game, and this is absolutely amazing. This is one of the most beautiful examples of a board game from thousands of years ago. We call it the Royal Game of Ur. Okay, that's the name that we in the modern world give it. But it was a board game that was being played everywhere from Egypt. We know it's being played in Egypt, all the way across Syria, which would be like modern Iraq, Iran, and all the way down to Ur or Sumeria, which is the hometown of Abraham. So Abraham, who we read in the Bible, left Ur in Genesis 12 to go to Israel, Canaan. He came from a land that was pretty sophisticated, actually. They had all sorts of technology. But we also know about their culture. Now, I think this is a beautiful board game. You can see it in the British Museum, like I say. You'll see the little pieces that go with it as well, and even how to play it. You can even find in the town that Jonah went to, and Jonah would have seen this, at the main entrance gate, there were these great winged creatures, and we've got a couple of them in the British Museum. And on one of them, on the base, soldiers have scratched a simple version of this board. Not quite as nicely decorated, but it was still functioned. It's exactly the same game. So when Jonah would have walked between those walls, no doubt the guards were hanging around, drinking whatever, a glass of lemonade, and playing a game of this Royal Game of Ur. In the ancient world, this would have been as common as like chess in the Mediterranean today. You'd have seen people playing this everywhere. There's really no doubt that Abraham would have played this game as well. Now, in the tomb of Tutankhamun, hey, Gareth, someday let's talk more about the tomb of Tutankhamun, because it is amazing what's being found there, other things as well. But there was a lovely copy of this, and there's about 20 copies found now. Till 1980, nobody quite knew how to play the game. There was a clue if people wanted to look, but people didn't look there. The scholars weren't looking there. I'll tell you about that in a second. But in the 1980s, an archaeologist called Irving Finkel discovered a little clay tablet with writing on it from thousands of years ago. And on that clay tablet were the rules for how to play the game. So we now know how to play this game. It's a kind of chase game. It's a two-player game, lasts about half an hour. Great fun to play. And you can buy a replica now, so you can actually recreate a game that Abraham would have played. The other little clue, though, is this was a very popular game, but actually for thousands of years in the ancient world. So where did it go? Why don't we know how to play it today? Some people think it became backgammon, but it's very, very different than backgammon. Well, actually, there is a clue. Till the 1950s, till around about the time Second World War and the Holocaust, there was one group of people still playing a game very, very close to this one. It's called Ashar, and that game, still being played to the 1950s, was being played by the Jewish people. They preserved the memory of this game and continued to play it into modern times. A preservation of a game that goes right back to the time of Abraham. I think that's an amazing fact. And if only the scholars would sometimes listen a little more to popular Jewish thought, they may find the Jews have preserved many of the ancient traditions that go back to Bible times.
I love the fact that this is thousands of years old, and it was only in the 80s, the 1980s, that they went, how do you actually play this? And they managed to work it out. And I also love the fact that even back then, thousands of years ago, people loved a good board game. I love the fact that they'd have been sat around and they'd have been playing board games, because I don't know where you stand on these, Chris, but I think it is the best social time to play a board game when you've got loads of you there. You get an opportunity to talk, you get an opportunity to fall out, but also have an enjoyable time. Board games.
We, as a church, we have a group that meets practically once a week, actually now. Certainly I go once a month anyway. And that's a great opportunity to bring friends along as well and play a game. All the banter and so on makes it a great fun evening together. I also speak actually at a board game week for Spring Harvest over in France. People come from all over Europe, mostly from the UK, over to France, and there's a week of Bible ministry and board gaming, and it's great fun. People who've not really played some of the great board games that are around nowadays come along. They expect it to be Monopoly. It's not Monopoly. We play games that are great fun and a really good social environment and good Bible teaching as well. So yeah, it's a very popular, it's a bit of a revival of board gaming at the moment, I think.
And I would not be a decent host if I didn't ask you what your favourite board game is, Chris.
Oh, there's so many. I think Settlers Catan is a very good board game. I think it's a great one with its expansions and so on. We don't get any sponsorship from saying this, do we, Gareth? But Settlers of Catan,
we don't yet. But imagine if we could come up with a format. So what me and you tend to do is we put our heads together and we sort of shoehorn in our own interests into some sort of radio feature, which is what we did with this. We thought, you love doing this. You're from Moorlands College, and it all fits together nicely. So board games on the radio.
I'd love to hear what board games the listeners play, actually. If listeners wanted to just tell.
We have just, we used to have me, my brother, and my wife and his fiance. We used to meet sort of monthly at our house and play board games. And there's something so beautiful about it where you get some snacks going and stuff. And we play Ticket to Ride. Have you played Ticket to Ride?
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, I play that with my wife. Yeah.
There's one called, in fact, this could go on for a long time because there's so many great board games. One final one. Have you played Wingspan?
I have played Wingspan. It's another favourite. Beautiful. The illustrations are beautiful of the birds. You actually learn a little bit about birds by playing the game, don't you? Beautiful.
Amazing. Love it. Board games are making a comeback. Not that they ever went away, really, but I can't believe I'm asking this on the radio after such an educated feature. What's your favourite board game? Do get in touch with us. And if you hit within our app, if you hit the WhatsApp link, you'll be able to get in touch with us. Because what I always find is that you've got the classics, you've got the Cluedo, you've got the Monopoly, you've got that kind of stuff. But it's the ones that you've never played before that you go, how have I never heard about this? This is absolutely incredible. Do you know what, Chris? If you live closer to me, you would definitely be added straight away to my board game WhatsApp group.
Well, I'll tell you, Andy Godfrey's coming down this evening to Moorlands because we've got a film night here, release of a brand new film we've done. So I might have a chat to Andy about board gaming down here at Moorlands.
And presumably he'll be staying there overnight.
Well, he is. I don't know what he's doing. Actually, that's a good question.
He can't be driving
Second
home,
hospitality. I don't know. I hope he's got a big car.
Andy has just texted in to say that he's actually he's made the executive decision to stay for a full week at your house. So there you go, Chris.
Board gaming all the way.
Have him there, Chris. Thank you very much indeed. And remember, you know, if we've spoken about anything, and you're thinking, actually, I would really love to learn more about the Christian faith. Do you know, there's lecturers like Chris who can talk you through the actual evidence, and it's all about equipping people. And you can go to the website to find out everything you need to. It's moorlands.ac.uk. Thank you very much, Chris.
Thanks, Gareth. God bless.